What's up, internet people? Welcome to my new English channel if you've just arrived here from Ching Ching Mong. This video was made to address the comments on my other channel that went something like, but I thought you really liked China. Obviously you can sense I've had a change of heart about China. I don't dislike Chinese people. I found the majority of Chinese people fall into two groups. Those who are full-on hardcore ethno-nationalists who would fall on their swords for the CCP. I find these people insufferable. In the same way I find religious fanatics insufferable. I make no bones about that. Most Chinese people are just busy trying to make a better future for themselves and have absolutely no clue what is going on. I have no problem with these people at all. Most Westerners, when they arrive in China, are very quick to compare China to whatever Western country they grew up in. That Western country is their point of reference. This is natural. I, however, had been living in Taiwan for 15 years. And so Taiwan was my point of reference. My Chinese ability also meant that I was completely able to understand all the propaganda and converse with people. Therefore, it didn't take me long to work out that there was no future for me in China. A Chinese person can come to the UK and study and work and live. After 3 years of living in the UK, a Chinese person can apply for residency. After 5 years, a passport. There is nothing we can do to get residency or a passport in China. Ever. If you stay in China long enough to meet somebody you love and get married, you can get a marriage visa. However, you are not allowed to work on this visa. All work is illegal. If you want to work in China, you must change your visa to a work visa. Your work visa only allows you to work with the company that has employed you. Any other work is illegal, and it is possible for you to be kicked out of the country and blocked any re-entry. The fine is £1,000 and the jail time can be up to 1 month. Risky work for a married man, don't you think? It is possible for you to be living in China, fluent in Chinese, married to a Chinese woman or man, with a kid, and get caught doing some private tuition and then get thrown in jail, fined £1,000 and denied re-entry to China. Sound hostile? It is. What kind of backlash do you think there would be? What about if we put those kind of restrictions on the Chinese citizens? What kind of backlash do you think we would take? I would say it'd be quite severe. Think about how much of a one-way street that is. There are people living in China, foreigners, Westerners, who have decided to opt for the M visa. This is the business visa. On this visa, you are not allowed to receive any pay from any company in China. This is what we call building a castle on the sand. Now, if you have this visa, you can do lots of little jobs like working in schools, teaching private students. You can get private tuition. I got offered work to do translation. You might even be asked to check factories, etc., etc. There's lots of jobs like this. But you have to understand all of them are illegal. It is not as easy as you would think to get paid in cash. Everybody uses WeChat, so all the transactions are done on the phone. Most people resent having to use cash, getting cash out. You'll have trouble getting a taxi, this kind of thing. And you'll find out all your taxi fares are rounded up to the nearest 100. The problem with using WeChat for all of your transactions is that the Chinese Communist Party can at any time, at any point, go into your WeChat and see what you've been up to. Again, another risk. You have to understand that if you enter into this kind of situation, you are always on a back foot. You never have that sense of security. If anything happens to you, you have got no recourse for appeal. This is China. How many unreasonable obstacles do you need? I would argue that if you could make a lot of money in China, which it is possible to do, then I would argue that it's worth staying temporarily. But you better have a plan to get out. Because you don't have any rights, you can't put any roots down, you'll never get residency, and you'll never get a passport. You do not want to get old in China. Another thing that you should know about China is that there is a lot of anti-Western sentiment floating around. This is largely due to the propaganda of the CCP. What's going on in Hong Kong right now? That's our fault. The fault of the CIA and MI5. And a lot of Chinese people believe this, like most Chinese people. You may be surprised to find out quite how successfully a one-party state can spoon-feed its public a narrative. Depending on how closely you've been following Chinese news, you may or may not be aware of the recent ban on dog ownership in Beijing. This is very real and is not just limited to Beijing. While I was living in Shenzhen, they started putting up posters saying there was 27 breeds of dog that were not allowed to be kept. That if any of these dogs were discovered, they would be confiscated. One of these notices went up in the elevator where I lived. Everybody who owned a dog was told to go and get a license. However, if you have one of the 27 breeds of dog that were not permitted, you would not only be refused a license, but you would also have your dog confiscated. The note said that after the 1st of July in 2019, the guards would be going into people's houses and confiscating any dogs without a license or illegal breed. Anybody that's been following me for any amount of time knows that I have a Taiwanese mountain dog. In China, they call this the Chinese field dog, which is one of the dogs on the list which is now not permitted. My theory on this is that they want to keep dogs, specifically medium to larger dogs, only for police use. Therefore, people will feel more scared of them and not familiar with larger dogs. That's just my theory, but it doesn't matter what I think. The fact is, in my apartment, I have one of these dogs, and at any point, I'm at risk of them coming in and confiscating her. So I obviously found an agent and took her to Hong Kong and sent her back on a plane to England for my dad to take care of her. So then I was left in China with no dog and my dog being back in England and feeling there really is no future for me here. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I know a lot of Chinese people watching my videos might be a little bit sad about some of the more negative things I said about China before. If you can, in some way, have a chance to go and see Taiwan and look around and see what Chinese culture looks like with a democratic government, I think you might better understand how I feel about China. Okay, hope to see you next time. If you want to support me, you can go to Patreon, PayPal, or you might follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Okay, see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.